strategically puts our puzzle pieces in place so we can see the bigger picture of things.
In that same path of my higher self, which
so when you're reinventing yourself, sometimes it feels really scattered.
Of no's. If I would not overcame being a teenage mom,
is the person like it's $1 million Norma, right? Like $1 million Norma.
What your boundaries are and communicating with that.
What is she doing that I'm currently not doing?
And she went through a lot of shit too, right?
Right.
Because we don't really think about that, what she was dealing with at that time, right? And my mom was
like if I could open my purse, is that if I wouldn't have overcome domestic violence,
a Regan thing.
I guess she loves.
Don't forget to subscribe.
God, what is up? The controls are still kind of like, I'm trying to figure them out sometimes. What is up? What is up, Jamie? How are you doing?
I'm good. What's going on? Hello, mi gente. What's on and popping? So tonight we are going to be discussing what is love. Is it conditional for men? Is it conditional for women? Like, what is it that we exactly use to determine what love is? How do we measure love? Ooh.
That's interesting. It is very interesting because there's a lot of I feel like when I was thinking about it, I was like, there's a lot of parameters to that because how far is conditional love? You know what I mean? Like, we're going to get into it. So before that, this came up as a thought for us. A lot of our podcast episodes are either, I've told you guys before, time and time again, they're from first person accounts, things that have happened to us. And then we're in a place where we are feeling vulnerable and a space to add value and, share with other people, right? Add value and be of service, right? Because a lot of the times there's a lot of people, right? I wish a lot of people would have given me more advice on motherhood, on marriage and things like that, but actually very useful advice, not just like, simple things like don't go to bed angry, which is great advice. But there's a lot of other things that you should have told me that. That would have been a great key advice to receive, right? And so we share a lot from that standpoint. We share from the standpoint of being two women with multiple careers, multiple degrees and a lot of knowledge. So we've built really this like whole persona in the amazing tender years of our lives because we're so young still. And so that's one of the standpoints. But another one is sometimes you guys share things. So feel free to share with us a topic that you want to hear about. Feel free to send us a video. You want us to comment on it. You want us to like share what our thoughts are. Because a lot of times everyone has different perspectives. Everyone has different ways of viewing things, and that can add value to you as well. It can help you share what exactly is the reason why this happens or not. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to watch a quick video that we saw on Instagram, and we had a plethora of things to say. So we want you guys to make sure if you're live with us on YouTube, on Instagram, or anywhere else that you see us, make sure you comment, ask a question, and stay tuned because soon we're going to have even calls. You're going to be able to call us and get live with us and have a conversation with us. But for now, just write in your comments, either on IG or on Facebook or YouTube, and we will answer it as soon as we see it drop, right? So let's see. Let's go with the presentation real quick. So I'm going to share my screen for a second, guys. So this video here. Presentation real quick. So I'm going to share my screen for a second.
Sorry. There we go. Copy. Are you able to put up the video?
Oh, you're not seeing it?
No, you're not. You don't have it up.
Oh, it was playing, and I thought it was playing for me.
No. Nah.
What happened? Okay, here we go.
All right.
I realized when my wife was at her worst, love had an opportunity to be at its best. Love in our culture is you look good, it's pleasing in my eye, you serve me well. But love in its original form, I don't know where you are, I respect where you are, but God is love. He doesn't decide to love. He doesn't wake up and say, you know what, you cooked me dinner last night, so I love you. You gave me some last night, so love you. No, he loves me. If God is love, then we have to look at what it does. Ultimately, his love reconciles sin. So it has to look for everything it's not to be defined in what it is. So 2 equals 1 started when my wife was at rehab and I had given her an ultimatum, and I was passing the church. She took a year off, and I changed the locks on the doors and had an attorney and told the kids we was leaving before she gets back. And the counselor looks at me and says, "You will never have the wife you want till you learn to love the wife you have." And I realized that at that moment that my version of love was fake because it served me. It didn't serve her. I am the only one as her husband that can show her the kind of love that God talks about in Scripture. And so I realized that I was a picture of forgiveness. I was a picture of grace. I was a picture of reconciliation and restoration. And how I loved her on earth was how she viewed how God loved her in heaven.
Tell me that's not juicy.
Okay, so let me try to like set that up a little summary because I don't know if the sound was too great. Give me a second. Hold on. I dropped my phone. All right, I'm back. All right, so let me try to summarize that a little bit. So first of all, what he's talking about is how he loves his wife and how he had to learn to re-love her, if you will. She had an illness, which was an addiction. And basically he saw himself come across a path of like, I should just abandon this woman because she is not good for me or my kids. And he had to make a choice. Did he abandon her? Or did he stick by her and strengthen her and strengthen his love in her in order to push past the stuff that they were pushing past? I think that kind of summarizes it. Yeah. But that's kind of like what he was saying. And this brought up a huge discussion between me and Diana because, for one, what is love, right? How do we define love? And it turned into like a string of messages between her and I, kind of going back and forth of what we believe to define love as and what we see love being and all the different things that cause love to be perpetuated as this like either fantasy thing, which if we all know, if something's a fantasy, it sounds unattainable, or it's this conditional object that we have to place some kind of monetary value to, or some kind of Diana.
I'm trying to spotlight you.
Homie.
I'm trying to spotlight you.
No, then let's see. Because you mute me every time you do it.
Go ahead.
I'll spotlight myself.
Okay. Because it's easier also.
What?
For purposes of putting it up when you spotlight.
Yeah, no, I get that. But okay, when you do it, you tend to mute me. And when you mute me, it just, you know what I mean? Como que se me desaparece el thought. It's like the wheel was turning and now it's not. Now I lost myself.
Damn it.
So go ahead. You tell me what you think, some of the stuff that he was saying on the video.
So one of the things that I was looking up just now, because I was like, you know what? One thing that I didn't look up when we were talking the other day is like, what is the definition of love? What is the actual definition of love? And by the Webster's Dictionary, it is just a great interest or pleasure in something, or intense feeling of deep affection, which I feel like doesn't really do it justice. Like, I feel like love is such a big thing. And I also think that love is not like, limited to only like, husband and wife. But in this discussion, it's about relationships. So I think that like love is a big thing. It's a very like, it encompasses so much. And love is like unconditional. It's not like when it favors you, when it's convenient, when it's going to work easier for you, or if you do something or not. Like kind of like what he said. He said, it's like almost like God. Like you have to love the way God loves, right? So if you're spiritual or believe in universe, source, or whatever it is, like you have to love in a way where like God doesn't love you less today than yesterday because yesterday you committed a sin. You know what I mean? Like, so it's almost the same thing. Like, and when you love someone, because they didn't cook you dinner the night before, that doesn't mean that you now don't love them or that you stop loving them less or they have slacked on being intimate with you, and so now you love them less, because that means that it's not necessarily love, that maybe that your love isn't as strong or isn't actually true. Like that's what I was like, But my thought when he was talking about that, and he was saying, because that's hard, that's very heavy, to talk about addiction, to stick through the thick and thin with you, right? Because it says sickness and health.
Right.
Now that's not applicable to a relationship, because a relationship is different. Like if you're dating and you're struggling really deeply with something, is it through thick and thin?
Yeah. What do you mean if you're struggling?
Okay. So let's say it's like you're battling with an addiction, or something is really, really off in the relationship, right? Like, but you love this person, right? Like, do you still stick by them because it's unconditional love, or it's different because you're in a relationship, dating, you're not married? Is it different? Is there a wager that weighs more or less because of marriage?
I don't think so. I think that what marriage does is that it creates communion in a contract. Because marriage, it depends, honestly. So if you look at marriage, to me, marriage is a legality. I don't view marriage in the spiritual form how everybody else does, not the contractual type. I feel like the unison of two people is the spiritual part of it, not the whole going up and signing a paper and doing the contract that you're doing, because that's what it is in the eyes of the law, is a contract.
Yeah.
To me, the union between two people starts when you get into a relationship with them, and that's your spiritual connection. That is your union. Right. Even in the Bible, when they said marriage or taken as wife, there was no freaking legal person being like, yes, you sir,
I'm gonna marry you now. Yeah.
No, they were married under the eyes of God, because
Right.
I now accept you as mine, you accept me as yours, and under the eyes of God, we're together.
Yeah.
So I view that two different ways. There's the marriage of the unison of two people who are in love or entwined, their souls are entwined. And then there is the legality of it.
Right.
I don't think that if we're talking about the legal form of it, that it has anything to do with love.
No.
So, yeah, I mean, you can marry somebody. I mean, hell, I've seen people get married for the housing benefits that the military gives you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, for money. Yeah, for money, for immigration or whatever.
Benefits. Yeah. I mean, shoot, I remember two best friends decided to have, relations in high school. And the girl ended up pregnant on her first time.
Oh, shoot.
That sucks, right? Anyways, so she ended up pregnant, and they ended up getting married, but they both knew that they weren't in love with each other. Like, it was like a mutual thing, like, well, let's get married so that we can take care of this kid and raise it. And they were never in love. They were just best friends and decided to do.
That was just kind of a contract.
Yeah, some silly thing, and then they created a contract. And so I don't think that marriage is mutually interchangeable with the word love.
No, I think it's not. I think that it's a little bit hard. I think there is some type of a difference slightly, because when you're dating or when you're in a relationship, it is, and depending on what stage of the relationship you're in, it is your time. It's almost like your preview. It's almost like the interview, the 90 days of probation you have for work. Me and my analogies, I love them. So it's your probation period to show up and show out, and show that this is actually where you want to be, that this is a relationship that you are going to show up for, that there's actual connection, there's actual spirituality, there's love, and there's things that you have to respect, non-negotiable and negotiable. When it comes to marriage, I think that absolutely it's thick and thin. It's for better or for worse. So as long as two parties are participating, right? I think that that's when it kind of changes, because then it's not conditional. Then it's conditional and not unconditional. In the moment that it starts wavering to unconditional, wavering to conditional, that's where it messes up, because then it's like, then he's he called it a 2 + 2 is 1, right? But it's not. It is 2 = 1, but it's if two are involved. If two are not involved, then it's not 1, or at least that's how I see it. Right. And then I think that that's a whole different ballgame. But if that person is struggling, they don't want an out, which seems like his wife didn't want an out. He wanted the out because it was a lot, dealing with
Right.
some condition. He changed the locks on her. Oh my God, he changed the locks on her, and was going to leave her out. And
Right.
so he realized, like, that's not love. That's not what God would do. Like, am I serving? Am I actually upholding my ends of the bargain in this relationship? Because that's a hard part.
Right. Okay, well, let's stay a little bit on the word conditional and unconditional. Do you think that men or women are loved conditionally?
Yeah.
Why do you think women are loved conditionally? Because I feel like I know men, but why do you think women are loved conditionally? What is the conditions that are placed upon women?
So in my eyes, or in the relationships that I've been in or dated or whatnot, it depends on the stages of your life that you're in. Men, unfortunately, mature very differently and a little later than women do, right? No matter what stage they're in, it depends on their trauma, the things that they've been through, etc. Right? So I think that when they go through that, they love women conditionally, conditioned on, what are you going to do for me? How do you serve me? Are you intimate with me enough? Are you my peace? Are you someone that, not necessarily, I don't always think that the strong man, the good man, the man that's actually in it for a good relationship is looking for the value in a woman. How do we add value to each other? A man that's not necessarily there, mature, emotionally mature yet, is looking for, what are you going to give me? How are you going to give to me? It's all about the service of them and not for you. And that's when the condition comes in. That's a conditional love. What am I getting from you? Not how we make this together work. You're muted, babe. Hold on.
In my opinion, I think that that when women are loved conditionally, it's almost like a mother love, which is weird. It's always been my observation to see it that way. Anytime that I've come across a man in a relationship that has that kind of like conditions about women, like, hey, I can only love a woman if she cooks for me, or she feeds me, if she has sexual relationships with me, if she's this, if she's that. And so when they put, and a lot of people confuse that and be like, oh, but that's a preference. No, it's not. There's a difference between you saying, I'm attracted to brown skin versus white skin. I'm attracted to straight hair versus curly hair. Those are preferences that your eyes are pleased by. Right? Conditions is me saying, oh, I don't think I can stay with that person because A, B, and C. That's a condition, right? And so for women, I feel like anytime I've come across a man that has conditions for a woman to be loved by him, it's usually a mother syndrome, like a mother's love syndrome that they have, like mommy issues or something, where they like, which is hilarious because then when they say daddy issues, they pertain it to women who don't know how to love or don't know how to love themselves correctly, right? But with men, mommy issues tend to present themselves as though you want your partner to now replace the mother that you didn't have, or if the mommy issue is more of too much of a good relationship with your mother, then usually you're looking for that woman that's going to replace your mom. And I always find that to be so strange because I'm like, what happened in your psyche that could have caused you to think that now that you had issues with your mom, you should go find a replacement for her and bed a woman and then tell her that she needs to feed you, clothe you, assist you in all aspects. Like, at what point did you connect those two dots as a man and was like, you know what? I didn't have a mother growing up, so now I'm going to get a woman to be my mother. Like, I find that to be so crazy.
It really is. It really is. It's very interesting that that's a thought. And I think that sometimes it's not even a thought. I think that they do it unconsciously because of the trauma, whatever trauma they have. They didn't have a mother that was very loving, nurturing. And then they have this woman. And it also works in the reverse. Sometimes because they don't have that, I've never had that type of relationship. It's overwhelming for them when they have a woman that is voluntarily so kind and nurturing and loving. And it's not that it's a requirement for the relationship, but it's just who she is innately. And so then it's like, what the hell? Like, I don't know what this is. This is too much. This this is, this is too much caring. This is too much love. I don't know what this is like. And it can go one way or the other, but I've seen that happen so much. It plays out so crazy that sometimes men just really look for that. Like, I need a woman, but what they're looking for, or they should just put like an ad out, and it's like, I need you to cook, clean, iron my clothes, have a hot meal when I get back. Now, as a woman, there's certain, like, we've had these conversations. If you guys reference back to some of our episodes, we were talking about toxic love and roles and gender roles. As a woman, we also do have roles. Yes, of course, men do too. There's things that we kind of like mold into. But I don't think it's like that we're boxed in there. Like, a woman is just designed to cook and clean and to polish his boots. Like, what? No. Like,
polish his boots. Oh my God, I used to polish my grandfather's shoes.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying it, because I used to have to wait at the door and get my father's slippers and like change.
Yes. Oh my God.
No. So,
let me tell you something. I remember being like 10 years old and telling myself, if I ever have a daughter, I will never teach her to tend a man. And the reason for that is because it screws with you forever. Like, when you're such a young child and they're sitting there telling you to cater to men, and you're sitting there being taught to, grab his slippers, grab his towel for his shower, and, grab his pajamas and put it on the bed and make sure his shirt is hanging, and just all this nonsense. And like, oh, make sure that he gets the biggest pieces of meat. If you're making chicken and whatever. I don't know. It was
serve him first. What? No.
Girl. And I remember feeling so disturbed by that, even as a child. And it was my own grandfather, who I love dearly, by the way. I didn't have any issues with my grandfather. He wasn't an abusive man or an aggressive man. He was very gentle, very kind, very loving. And so it was never really an issue per se. But it was just the fact that it was impressed upon me that a man was more important in the household than the woman. And I always found that to be so strange and weird, because then when you get into other situations, they wonder why, why didn't you speak up against that man who did that to you? You've been teaching me and drilling in my brain that men are superior to me, and that men place a higher threshold in society and even in our own household. So when was I supposed to speak up about anything?
Right.
And so that's kind of what I don't, understand about any of that. And the dynamic between men and women, and having conditional love or unconditional love, whichever way they want to twist it. I always find that to be strange, right? Again, now for a woman looking at a man, what is unconditional love?
I think in a way I think in a way it could be the same, but I think that unconditional love to a woman is protection a lot of times. I think women, I heard another episode of another clip or something, said something that men love more than women. And I don't know that I always agree with that. I don't always think that men do love. Now there's high caliber men that actually work on themselves and they know how to treat a woman, and they sometimes really do love hard, because men don't always wear their heart on their sleeves like we do, so expressive, so vulnerable. Sometimes it's something that is navigated during the relationship and they open up more. But for a woman, for men, unconditional love, for women to have unconditional love with men, I think it's safety. It comes from the safetiness and the being protected by him, not only physically, but in every aspect of the word.
Yeah. So I think that when we look at men and we think about unconditional love in a woman, I do think about it like that. I do think that it's more of a feeling and awareness than it is an act or
tangible.
Like it's not tangible. It's more like of a feel, a sense of being,
right?
If you will. Which is different. And women naturally, we are more nurturing and more in tune with our emotions and things like that, because we have to be. How else would you understand a baby if you weren't? Which is interesting, because a lot of people think like, I had this experience a lot, and I still have it. And my daughter is, how old is Selena? 11. My daughter's 11. And I still have this kind of experience, awkward experience, where she'll either have like a facial expression or do some kind of sign with her hand, and I already know what she's saying. And a lot of people are like, why are you speaking for your daughter? I'm like, I'm not. She just doesn't use words very often because she's an introvert. And sometimes I just read her body language and I kind of know what she's saying. And as a baby, it was the same way. As the baby's goo goo gaga all the time. And you hear mother being like, oh, you want milk? Okay. And the baby was like, ah, you know, like,
Yeah. But you knew what it was.
but you knew what it was. And so I think that by nature, we have to be that in tune with ourselves and that in tune with our surroundings, because if not, our children's survival would be limited. Right?
But I
And
think that we do that also with men. I think that
yes,
women do that a lot with relationship. I know that I do that for sure. Even in dating, like I have that conversation. Like I had this conversation recently, and I was telling someone that like I don't know about anyone else in any relationship, but you gotta study me. Your job now, you want to be with me, you want to attain me in your life, you want for me to add value to you, you have to study me. I am now your subject of discussion, your subject of learning. You need to see my mannerisms, the way I like things, the way I don't like things, my body language. A lot of the times, you know, you can read someone completely from their body language. She didn't like that. That didn't register well. Or she said fine, but was it really fine? I know that fine is not really fine. She really didn't like that. Let me refrain from doing that, right? And I think that is also, on another token, it is also the woman's job to study her partner, her man. Like, he likes this, he doesn't like that. You know, he doesn't like when I put him in a corner. He doesn't like it when I share too much information or, you know, call him out to people. Like, you should know, it is your job now to really invest in this person and everything about them, to show them that unconditional love, to show them that admiration, that respect, that desire of being wanted, right? Because that's how you know and feel. You should walk in a relationship having the worthiness, having the happiness and the joy in within yourself, that self-worth. But that person is with you also will add to that, will magnify that even more based on the way they treat you. So like you said, when it comes to women, we just feel it. It's not a tangible thing necessarily. It's more like, he makes me feel safe. He knows that yesterday I had a really bad day, or he knows that like clockwork, things are coming. Oh, she's getting a little spicy already with her attitude. So I know I'm going to just get her Chick-fil-A, and I know her order because I've already memorized it, you know. You know the things that I love. You know that you're not just going to get me roses because I don't like roses. I like lilies, you know, like, so you just have learned me as a person, my mannerism, the way I speak, the way I do things, how I like to be spoken to. Like, don't come to me all sideways. Anybody that knows me knows that I don't care how mad I am. We could be like pissed at each other and I'm disappointed. One thing I learned from my parents, that I didn't want to have a relationship where there was disrespect. I don't like to curse at someone. I don't curse at my friends. I don't curse at my partner. So when we talk, we're having a discussion. And if you're going to start raising your voice, maybe we need to take a pause and cool down and then come back, because you can hurt someone much more deeply with your words than anything else, right? Like,
that is true.
I put up a post today, guys, check it out. It was a really awesome reel. Jimmy and I were doing another interview, and in one of them, I discuss how like unhealing, or being in a life where you're unhealed and you're going into a relationship and you're not ready to love conditionally, you're not ready to give of yourself, is like walking around with glass in your pocket. Not wanting to.
Dang.
You're gonna get cut.
Facts.
And you're gonna bleed on somebody else instead of taking care of you and really walking into something really ready to receive, really ready to love and to give. Because unconditional love means unconditional, means when you're having a mental breakdown, means when things are not going the way we want it to be, when life is hitting you hard and there was a death in the family and now I don't know if we're going to be together. I don't know if we are. I don't know what's going to happen. We didn't have this conversation, but I got to kind of hang tight a little bit. Or you had some mental situation or an overwhelming feeling. Work is crazy. Like, do I just tap out, or do I give you an opportunity to work on what you need to work on because I love you unconditionally? Now, here's my question to you, Jay. Is unconditional love also, this is just not working though? Like, these two people are trying their best, but one is trying more, giving more than the other. How long do you hang on to that unconditional love? Or is that like it's
so I don't mix the two. And the reason why I don't mix the two is because to me, emotions are emotions and practicality is practicality. Reality is reality, right? I can, for example, I can have a thought of I love my father, right? I missed my father. My father was never in my life. And I can have all those feelings. Is it practical for me to have my father in my life? It is not. Does that mean that the emotions of it go away? Absolutely not. So I don't mix love with decision making or any emotions with decision making because it's not practical. It doesn't make sense to me. You can love someone unconditionally and love them for forever and hold them in your heart so tightly that you don't even have room to ever love again and not be with that person because you understand that that person is toxic, is damaging, it's whatever they are to you that's not healthy, then they don't belong there. You can love them at a distance and help them understand like, hey, you're not loving me correctly, or you're not loving me how I should be loved, or respect me how I should be respected. So then this needs to kind of, go sideways.
Yeah. And I think that's when it changes. I think that's when the love it's not that it's not unconditional, because you still love someone super crazy. But there's that saying that says like you love someone, but sometimes you gotta set them free because they're not good for you.
I don't think that the conditions apply to this, again, to decisions. I think the conditions are, I only love you if.
Yeah, true.
Right? Versus saying, I love you, but you're not good for me.
Yeah.
I mean, you can love a crocodile.
Say that again. Say that again. For the people in the back, say that again.
I don't know what I said.
You'll explain that so perfectly. Conditional is how the difference between conditional is, and I love you if.
Right, and I love you if. So think about it. I can, you can love a crocodile and have it sleep with you. Is that a good decision?
No.
It's a very bad decision. You can love it though, but the decision attached to the emotion, it ain't right there. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's the same way, like, are you going to stay, for example, you can love somebody and let's say that person becomes schizophrenic, but a violent schizophrenic, right? Now they're a danger to themselves. They're a danger to you. They belong in an institute. They can't be out and about. Are you going to remain in a relationship with that person?
No.
Does that mean that you stop loving them?
No. And I think that's where it gets misconstrued. A lot of people think that because I love you unconditionally, or because they don't understand that unconditional means if I'll love you only if you do this, right? Like that's what you're saying, which I love. That's the best way to explain it. Like, I love you only if you do this thing, right? Like it's like I tell my son all the time, like it doesn't matter what you do in life ever. You could do the most wrong in life. I will always love you. My love is unconditional for you. But if it's conditional, it's like, oh, I only love you if you cook for me on Wednesdays, hamburger night. If you don't cook for me.
For example, like the trend that was going on for a while, where it was like that song, I want a man in finance, 6 feet. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
That's conditional. You're not looking for love. You're looking for a status.
Yeah.
And there's a difference. So, like, for example, in my opinion, there's a certain someone who's in my life at this moment, not like in my life, like somebody that I want in my life, but just whatever. My daughter's, anyways.
Yeah.
The point is that there's somebody in my daughter's life that I have to believe that they are there conditionally, because they're there for status, they're there for money, they're there for being taken care of financially. They're there for what it means to be part of that relationship. And that is conditional, because then the moment that disperses, it has been proven that this person will then cheat, go outside of her marriage and do whatever the hell she wants. That is a conditional type of love.
Because you're getting something out of it. Like, if I get this, then I'll do that. If I get this, then I'll do that.
Right. There you go. That's what it is. Not just because, regardless of the fact, it's a give and take. A relationship.
Yeah, it is always. Right.
It doesn't even matter. It's a give and take emotionally, it's a give and take physically, it's a give and take and all aspects, spiritually, you name it. But it's when those give and takes become conditions for why I love you, right?
Yeah, no, that's
so
not good.
I can't love you. You're not paying my rent. I can't love you. Oh, you're not buying me the new car that came out for BMW.
What?
Money. Like I saw another TikTok today where it said like they were showing this girl who had like her hair was like a little messy. And hi Mark. And basically the girl that's touching her hair, she's like, oh my God, is this how your man got you looking? Is this how he got you looking? He don't even give you money for the hair salon. He don't this, he don't that. And in my mind, I'm thinking like, what the hell does that have to do? Because she has a bad hair day. What does that have to do with anything? So the man has to what? Pay $600-700 a week for you to be, good. Like I don't understand that. So
or like people that say that if a man loves you, like he has to come all the way correct. Like it's awesome. It's really nice to maybe maybe in this soft girl era now, like not have to move a finger or do something because someone already has all their ducks in a row, but because he doesn't have, or he makes just a little less than you do or whatever, I'm not going to love you. Or he did before and then now he has a different type of job or situations change. Now I'm not going to love you. My love changes for you because your finances are not in place or something happened or you're going through some situation. Like that's not genuine love. Like, and I know that I have been through a situation before where it was like, I knew it was unconditional love but it was because we were never actually in love. It was just okay, we got to do this because of this and that. Like there was like parameters around it, and it was like, okay. And now in hindsight, it's like that was not actual love. That was more transactional. It was more like this is the right thing to do, and love should never be what the right thing to do is. It's, does it feel good? Does it take you somewhere? Do you add value to each other? Do you grow together spiritually, mentally, physically, and in all aspects of the word, right? Like, so for me now, I know like what conditional love and unconditional love. And I've loved unconditionally, sometimes too much to the stretch where it's like, maybe the decision versus the emotion are battling each other, but knowing that the decision needs to be made, right? Like, but because you love so hard, it's like that tricky like slope that you're like, oh, but if I leave, am I loving that person unconditionally? Like, but it's right. You're completely on the money. Like there's two separate things.
Yeah, because you have to think about it. Even this, let's talk about another emotion for a little bit. Even if you're, let's say it's sad, right? Does sadness necessarily mean that you can't show, for example, joy for somebody else who's going through something that may be positive? No, right? So again, your actions and your emotions are not mutually, exclusive to each other. One does not equate the other. So that's why I feel like it's not the same. I can love you for forever and let you go because I love you that much to know that this isn't what you want and this isn't what we're doing, right?
That's not what we signed up for.
And that's kind of what I did with my first, right? The love of my life at one point. But no, that you had to do that, right? Did that mean that I stopped immediately the day that I told him, hey, we can't talk anymore? No, it took me God, this was like a 20-year long love, so it took time. But I still made the decision because I knew it was the right decision to make. I knew that it was no longer serving me in a positive way. The love was not mutually
reciprocated.
And the way that he was moving was funny to me. And it was not, it wasn't a good deal. No. You can't tell me that you love me and then you want to make me your side piece. That doesn't.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Right. That doesn't work out, right? You can't sit there. You can't sit there and be like, oh yeah, be my side chick until I feel like, like I'm ready for you.
I love. Yeah.
That's not love. That's selfishness. That's you wanting the cake, the icing, the cherry on top of the icing, and then the strawberry that they put on top of that one, and then the little sprinkle. Like you just want all of it. And then you want the plate to lick it off too.
Right.
That's selfishness. So I don't agree with that kind of that's not love to me.
Yeah.
To me, that's selfish, that's greed, that's inconsiderate, a type of emotion, because you're not even considering the other person when you're saying things like that.
No,
You know,
absolutely not.
can you imagine going up to somebody who you know truly loves you and telling them, "Hey, you want to be my side piece?"
Oh my God. I would want to hurt you. Like the audacity. That's when I get like,
yes.
I get in my feelings, because I've been told that before, and it was just like me, like, you know, and it's not like that. Like I feel like I'm much better than anyone else, but it's just because I know the weight, you know, in Spanish, you hear me in Spanish, for us Hispanic women or whatever, Hispanic culture, we have this saying that says like ese no monstruo, what you call it? It's like ese tronco de mujer. Like you can't do that. Like, the weight of that woman, the you know, it hits hard. She's a woman with a lot of high caliber value, intelligence. You know, she is going to completely make a home. Like she will. I think that one of the things that I've learned of myself in the last year, in the last few months, is that, and comes from humility, guys. If you've been watching me, you guys know I am probably the most cuddly, sweet person, kind, but I also stand on 10 toes of who I am. I know exactly who I am and what I can deliver. And I know I can make anyone, any man. Like put a man in front of me, tell me he is my person, and I can make him, and not in a like he can't make me, but I know that I have the know-how to build somebody, how to build you up, and like say, all right, you're not where you need to be right now. No worries. Come on, let's do this together. We're gonna build together, we're gonna grow together, we're gonna smash this, and we're gonna make it happen. Because it matters a lot. So
of course.
And not everyone has that type of grace.
No, and so that to me is where things like for example, in the video that we saw at the beginning, he made a choice to not leave his wife. But in that case, the way that I see his particular situation is that his wife was sick.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people think that drug abusers are just drug abusers because they want to be junkies. No, the drug is a symptom of whatever is happening deep down inside, right? Just like alcohol abuse or a cigarette or whatever. Those are all just symptoms of what's really happening behind that person's mask, if you will. So in his situation, I feel like it was fitting for him to be patient with his wife, because I feel like he acknowledged that there was something else wrong that perhaps they weren't attentioning to. And so he didn't want to give up on her. And I think that that's a different type of strength, right? For example, can you love your spouse if they lost their job and they can no longer give you 50% of the bills? Will you love them through that type of patch? Right? Will you love somebody if they got cancer and they were terminal? Or are you the type of person that just can't handle that and you have to walk away because they're sick? And then all of that is respected. I'm not putting fingers on anybody here. Because all of that is difficult. I can't even imagine getting sick and then putting a loved one through cancer with me, because I just think that it's such a terrible disease, then it burdens everybody around you. So things like that to me is different. Now, when a person is failing you, that is truly where you have to kind of look at things, evaluate them for what they are, and not be blinded by your own emotions. And what I mean by not being blinded by your own emotions is like, if you have someone, for example, let's take an extreme case first. If you have somebody who beats you, who physically abuses you, you can love that person because maybe they have beautiful days where they treat you like a queen, right? Or a king. Maybe they give you foot massages. Maybe they bring you flowers. Maybe they're very attentive in the home. Maybe they cook great. But then when they get angry, they punch you in the face, right? At that point, you have to make a decision that that's not healthy love.
No.
You might love that person unconditionally. You might have the best of intentions for that person, but that doesn't mean that person has great intentions for you. And on a lesser scale, if you have somebody who mentally abuses you, and a lot of people don't know how to identify mental abuse. And I was one of those people at one point. But mental abuse looks a lot like, let me not call you back. Let me give you the silent treatment. Let me not respond to your needs. Let me not be there for you when you need me the most because I'm going through some shit and I don't have time for you. That is also abuse, my friends. Right. Whether you like it or not, no matter what you're going through, that is abuse. Right?
Especially if you expressed it. Especially if you expressed it, like, you know, at this point, like, listen, this is hurting me. This is triggering. This doesn't feel good. This feels like abandonment. And after a while, it is. You're abandoning that person. You can be in a home with someone. Trust me, I know this. I have lived this. You know, you can abandon someone living with them because you have checked out completely the relationship. You are no longer speaking to that person. You are giving them the silent treatment. You are making them feel less worthy of themselves. And sometimes even the strongest woman or the strongest man with the most confidence in the world can be broken down. And like I said earlier, I think one of the worst things is psychological abuse, because physical abuse, as much as, my God, get help, stay out of that, you know, run in the other direction. But those just heal. Those are surface level for the most part. And those heal. But that psychological abuse lingers
my God.
and comes up in multiple relationships unless you're healing it. Really.
And on different levels.
Yes.
Let me tell you something. Somebody can mess with your head so hard that you can begin to doubt that one foot is in front of the other.
It's so crazy.
It's so crazy. And people don't believe it. Like, I have tried to explain this so many times because it's so hard to grasp this concept because it's not something that's tangible, right? I can't say like, oh, I was going crazy because he was beating me every day. No, no, no. Psychological, let me tell you something. Psychological abuse takes time, dedication, and precision. And I absolutely hate when people are like, oh, but not all of it. Maybe he didn't know. Shut up. Because he knew. He knew that if he said something, he was going to get a certain reaction out of you. Because when you sit next to a dog, eventually you learn that dog's habit. And it's the same thing with human beings. When we're around each other, we will capitalize on each other's behaviors and on each other's emotions. The difference is that some of us capitalize on a positive way and others in a negative way. Right. And the ones that do it in a negative way, they know they're doing it in a negative way because it's something that if it was done to them, they wouldn't like it either.
No.
Right? Yeah, so, you know, if you know that I'm the type of person that I need a response quickly from you, right? Then why are you taking 7 days to answer back a simple question? Right?
Speak, girl, speak.
If you know that I am the type of person that I need to have a conversation with you because my mind works that way, and in order for me to be at ease or at peace, I have to communicate. And you decide to then give me the cold shoulder and the silence treatment, right? That's abuse. I actually unfriended a friend because of that type of abuse. Because she would silently get angry and then not speak to me for days while I was under the impression, oh, she just must be busy, like a freaking idiot.
Right.
And then she's sitting there like, oh, well, I just didn't want to talk to you because A, B, 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 B. Why did you wait 14 days to tell me that? Why did you wait 10 days? Why have you been, so you've been purposely ignoring me and then you want me to still remain and be your friend? No, thank you.
No, absolutely not.
You know, and I kept that person around me for damn near a decade, you know? Yeah. And it's like, for what? Like, and at what point were we supposed to realize and snap out of it and understand that mental abuse is just as strong as physical abuse, and if not worse, because of the amount of time that it takes, right? Because if I physically abused you once, I punched you in the face, the bruise is gone, we're over it, right? And maybe I have some emotional trauma because of the physical abuse attached to it, right? But to have somebody mentally screw with you for years and months or in weeks on end, right? And have them twist your brain that much more to the point where you start to doubt your words, your decisions, who you are as a person, your own self-confidence. When you start to doubt yourself that way, just walk away. Just walk away.
sad when that happens. It's really sad. And I've seen it play out. I'm be completely vulnerable. I've seen it play out in my own life and a lot of my friends. Like, it's like, damn, man, like you don't see it. Like, you know, he does these things to rile you up. And knowing that it's hurtful, or they do it in such a like subliminal way where it's like,
Yes.
yeah, I hate that. Like when it's like, oh, it was a jab, but it was like a gentle jab, but it
Yep.
wasn't gentle. It really hurt me. And at some point, now I start believing that, oh, I'm just not good at that. Damn, I'm real clumsy. I never get things right. And you start saying these things because they become now your reality. When it's bullshit, it's not your reality. Someone just said it enough that you started to believe it, and it's not true, right? So that's something that you have to be really, really careful, both men and women. And this is something that there is a certain portion of it that can be unconscious in the beginning. Like when it's like something where you're super new to each other, I didn't know that was your trigger. So you have to then let me know, this is my trigger, this bothers me, or this makes me feel X, Y, and Z, because I'm also not Houdini, and I won't know unless I either read your body language, which is evidence if it changes, or you discuss it with me. Hey, you know what? That didn't feel really good. That really hurt my feelings. Now, if you go back and do it again, you are 100% in the know. And now you are now acknowledging that you're going to continuously abuse me in this way and like jab me in this way, right? Last night, in thinking about this topic and like what we were going to talk about, I started to jot things down. Like one of the things that I love doing, and I know I told you guys before in one of the last podcasts that our journal should be coming out sometime in 2025, so look out for it. And we journal. Jamie journals as well. And one of the things I was journaling last night was like things that are unconditional love, that are non-negotiable, that you should never do in a relationship. Like regardless if you're new, married, or starting off, like these are 5 things that if you ever go back into a relationship or you're in a relationship, you should never do, right? It's create space, creating a safe space for vulnerability. So you have to make sure you have creating a safe space. Never create a space where I can't talk to you, where you make me feel like my feelings are invalid, or like you're exaggerating. Like, why are you saying that? Why are you telling me if I'm exaggerating or not? It's my feeling. You can't tell me how to feel. In this moment, that registered to me as hurt. That registered to me as you were kind of invalidating my feelings. You were thinking that, oh, I was exaggerating because I said I didn't like when you did that. To you, it might not be a big deal, but to me, it was. And because you love me unconditionally, it is your job now to alter that, not change who you are. That's not me changing you. That's altering it for the betterment of our relationship. Removing the threat of leaving. People that do this all the time, that's also not conditional love. That's conditional love. When you're saying all the time, we're going to break up, or you should go, or you're questioning, should you be together or not? That means that you're questioning the commitment. And then if there's a commitment issue, there's probably not a lot of love or real love really, really engulfed in that relationship outside of the decision. Because if it's you're being abused or you're not being taken care of, but if it's like, oh my God, because you make me heated. I'm so tired of you because every single time I come home, no food is made. You know what? We should just not even be together. And you just use that as your resort. That's not it, baby. That is not it. That's not something you should be doing. Communicating.
That's also lack of confidence.
I'm sorry?
That's also lack of confidence in the relationship.
It is. Because people don't understand that when you do that, it actually, to me, it's a turnoff. It's a big turnoff when you do that to me, because it's like, all right, I'm going to do it just because you want me to do it, because you're telling me that, because something in you feels less than, and you feel like, oh, just do it already. Just do it already. Just do it already. Like, no, relax.
Yeah.
Relax.
Yeah, for me, I think that there's a time period where that's kind of tolerable, if you will, like the whole iffiness, because like if you're dating somebody for 1 month, you might not be so sure that you guys are going to last forever, right? You whatever. Some people think that they know, that they're like, oh, I met you this week and we're going to be together for the next 70 years. And then they break up in like 3 months. You know what I mean? So I think that there's, like you were saying earlier, holding space for each other is important.
Yeah.
Right. And some of that space is, to work through those things of like that ambivalence or that insecurity and that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. Then there's which was what communicating instead of making you guess. Don't make me guess. Don't make me. And I feel like I'm gonna tell on us, ladies. I'm gonna tell on us. A lot of times this happens to men too, but I feel like us ladies a little bit more responsible for this one, where we make them guess. Well, you should have known. Not necessarily. You should tell them. You should be very clear and open and honest on how you want to be loved. There's certain things that I feel like at this tender age in my life, I don't want to tell you. I don't want to have to tell you, I want to be held. I like cuddles. I like a man that's going to plan dates. I like a man that's spontaneous, that has initiative. I think that that's something that you should come equipped with. But there's a certain portion of it that I can also let you know in the beginning, because we're still new to each other. And so I shouldn't have you guessing, or you should just know, or I was never, or this is the worst one. I hate I was never taught. I don't like the word hate, but I really despise this. I was never taught. I don't give a shit. Learn.
Damn.
I don't give
your face right now. Were you thinking about somebody?
I don't give a shit.
She said, I don't give a shit. Your face, bro. What the hell?
This is my not poker face. That's my non-poker face. My family hates this face. The people, who I'm dating hates this face. Because I just don't have a poker face. So I'm just like, okay. And what are you telling me? So find a book. Take a workshop.
The only topic where I don't mirror practicality with emotions. And the reason for it is because I truly feel in my own personal experience that when you are truly connected with someone and that person is truly vibrating at the same like wavelength as you, and you guys are truly connected, that a lot of that nuance just happens. Right? Because I've been with people who I now know that did not love me for real. And it was a lot of that. Oh my God, I like cookies and I like feet rubs and whatever. And then I'm with the person that I'm with right now, and I don't even think I've ever had to tell, Robert ever what I like or don't like when it comes to that kind of stuff. I've had to tell him like, oh, I don't like mondongo, for example, like certain foods, but he's so intuitive with the things that I like and how I am as a person that there's a lot of stuff that there was no teaching there. It was just like he just observed and he was like, oh, okay, well, this is what she is.
You became a subject, his favorite subject.
And so I think that is natural because I've had that twice in my life with two different partners, and that's the person that I'm with now and my first. And in between that, I've never had that ever at all. I've always been taught by my mother. No, men have to be taught. And I don't think that's true.
I don't want to teach it. You're not your grown person.
No, I think a man tells you where you stand, and we're just too stubborn to listen.
Right. Agreed.
Like the women that be like, oh yeah, no, because he's gonna marry me. Honey, it's been 20 years.
He's not marrying you.
He told you already.
Yeah. And people tell you, people in general, not only men, but people tell you who they are. Believe them.
Yes.
Listen, the thing is that we don't listen. We don't put on our thinking caps.
You know what the other thing is too about that is that we don't listen, but we don't just not listen. It's also like this weird concoction of like, yo, let me stay by you no matter what I'm seeing, because I think that your way of loving is this way.
Yeah.
Like it's so strange. I don't know why we do it. I'm not really sure why we make that excuse. It's stupid. It is.
Because if you don't understand love that way, then why would I accept that love? Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
and
so
that's
if I don't understand that the sky is blue and I feel like it's purple, no matter what you say, it's purple to me, right? Like, so if I understand love to be affirmation, kindness, attention, checking in with me, I don't want to have to tell you those things. Right. I want you to know that you want to check in with me. I don't have to wait on Jamie to be like, hey, So I had that doctor's appointment, and you know what happened. And Jamie is the same way with me. Like I don't have to remind her shit. I told her that shit 2 weeks ago. She remembered. I don't know if she wrote that down, but she will message me and be like, "Hey, this is this and this, you know, and how are you doing? How are you feeling? Whatever." Because she's invested. I'm invested. And so the same thing when it comes to a romantic relationship, where you're invested truly, deeply, utterly, emphatically, all the words. You will just do it. Like you will just do it. Like there is no I wasn't taught. There is no, oh well, you know, no one ever showed me. No, sweetheart, that's your job. Your job is to evolve. As you continue to grow, as you continue to change in life, you have to evolve. Like for example, you know,
there has to be a want.
It's a want.
Yeah, you have to be a want, because like for example, it's the same thing as when we as parents say like, oh well, this is how my mom raised me, so this is how I'm raising my child.
I was just about to get to that. Yeah,
that's a choice.
No, yeah,
you made that choice. You made the choice to raise your child exactly how you were raised,
right?
Out of ignorance, you did that on your own.
Unless
you simply said, you know what, I didn't like that as a kid. I don't think I want to do it to my child either.
Right. Unless you did. If you did, and my parents just did it nilly-willy, all the perfect self, and it's amazing, and that's exactly what I want to do, then excellent, and do just that. But if not, and you didn't get what you wanted, it's the opposite of what you're supposed to do. My dad was very loving and very like touchy. My mother wasn't, and still isn't. But I always knew that I wanted that, and I wanted that for my son. So I make sure that I give him the most. If anything, my son can accuse me of doing it too much. Like, you know, he accused me the other day of like, he said, maybe mom, maybe it's time you start dating. Because I told him.
Kids can be, they are. Yeah, Helena, one time I was talking to some friends or something, and I can't remember what I said, but I was like, I was talking about planning like a barbecue or something. And she just turned around and she was like, Mom, you don't have friends.
Ay, Dios. Oh my God. Help, Jesus.
I was like, what? She goes, you don't go anywhere. You don't do anything. I was like, golly. That doesn't mean that I'm friendless. It just means that I'm a house person. The hell?
Let me share the last one before we continue. And then the last one was never avoiding difficult conversations. So sweeping things under the rug creates resentment. And when you don't address them head on or clear the air or move forward with the resolution, intimacy comes from honesty and not avoidance. So you create a gap. That gap between the moment that you felt Jamie said that to me, and I didn't like when she said that to me. So the moment that the next time it happens, there's a gap in between there. And in that gap, that's how you build resentment. And that's how you build the sadness. And that's how you build the like, I don't want to be with this person anymore. The gap. So make sure that in between the moment that someone said something to you, whomever it is, you didn't like it, from that moment to the next moment that it happens again, or the next opportunity you have to talk, have the difficult conversations and say what you need to say so that resentment doesn't build, because that's where the tarnishing happens.
Yes. Oh my God. Having that lack of communication sit and linger in any relationship, whether it's with your child, a friend, a romantic relationship, it ends up, I call it like, I think somebody said on TV the other day that it was like leaving shadows.
Ooh.
And so, but to me, I have always said it. Tú sabes como cuando los patos cagan.
Oh my God.
It's like that, like leaving a trace of something. Yeah. And then if you think about it like that, like you're leaving a trace of something, you can almost look back at that space and be like, oh my God, how heavy was that?
Exactly. And how much harder is it for that same visual? Like, think about it. Like, I'm such a visual person. So like, think about that. How are you going to go back now and clean that up? No, that's going to take you forever, because it's like a mile long now.
Yeah,
so
but
now
you kind of can't.
Backwards. No,
you kind of can't, because we're talking about space and time here.
Yeah.
It's not like you're just walking, time is passing, and these traces are left locked in that time. Right. So it's not like you can exactly go back and clean it. You can maybe do damage control moving forward.
Right.
But I don't think that you can exactly go back and be like, oh, let me pick up all the skids that I left. that I left on the road. So I just don't see it. You know what I mean? Like, It's crazy.
It really
But,
is.
yeah, I think we're like over time now.
We are. It's just that this is one of those conversations that is like
You could go on
just
forever.
go on and go on. Yeah. So we'll definitely come back with something else along the line, because I know that whenever we post up a lot of these conversations, we get the most ratings. People really love these type of talks, because I think that love in itself is dying a lot. Conditional love, unconditional love. People don't know exactly how to love, and that's why we have so much unsuccessful relationships.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that that's true as well. But anyways, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for joining in on the conversations. Thank you everybody who's watching on IG and commented on IG. We appreciate the love and the support. We have an event coming up April 5th.
Yes.
That we are joining Powers with Miss Takora Nicole, who is a phenomenal author, entrepreneur, and just a phenomenal human being all around. She's like a 12-time bestseller on Amazon, and like just a phenomenal powerhouse. And we're going to be doing this course that we're going to be teaching. It's going to be a 3-tier, a 3-for-1 special is what you're going to get. And we're going to give you tools in order for you to really organize your life financially, spiritually, to be able to plan and set goals and really leave with something tangible from our webinar. We're each going to be able to kind of use our own expertise and our own experience to give you something to kind of leave that day with. Specifically, like setting goals, planning financial goals, how to save, how to put money aside, how to find out your financial identity, how to market yourself as a brand. So all of that is going down April 5th. You guys can go to our page on Facebook, and there is an event on that page. Or you can scroll down the page and you'll find it on there. And there's a link for you to buy tickets to the events. The event is a webinar, so it is online. However, we did put a limit to the seats. So make sure you grab your ticket.
Yes. This is going to be really good.
Yes. And again, it's something that you're going to be able to walk away with, that you're actually going to have tangible things rather than just like, hey, motivate me. So
we're very big on making sure that not only can you walk away with something, but you can put it to work right away. Like it's something that you're going to be able to use, and it's not going to stay in a folder. And it's like, oh, I got that one time and I never used it. This is for you to start working on it. We're 85 days into the new year. It's okay if you have not started on your goals and you're not financially planning, if you're not focused, if you're not building that business. But if it's still in your mind, it's time to bring it to the forefront. So make sure you lock in your tickets for April 5th. And let's get going, guys. Let's win.
All right. Yeah, have a good night.
Night.